My house looks insane. Almost as insane as my habits. But I used to have love handles, a dirty kitchen, and insomnia. And I've fixed all of those things. Not because I suddenly became more disciplined, but because I added 30 products and techniques to my house and my routine that make good habits almost inevitable. This is a full day in order with every product and technique that's still in my routine 2 years later. A good day starts the night before. My former routine was I used to watch TV on the couch until I fell asleep, then go upstairs, brush my teeth, get into bed, and wonder why I couldn't fall asleep. I suffered with insomnia for years and tried hundreds of different things in order to fix it. The biggest difference came from two major changes. The first one is a nighttime routine. So now before I get too tired and fall asleep on the couch, I get off the couch and go upstairs and start my stretching routine. The routine is based off of the book Anatomy of Stretching, and it comes with this highly disturbing poster that for some reason my wife won't allow me to keep in the bedroom. But this routine made me especially tired as soon as I added foam rolling to it. Most people foam roll like they're taking their muscles through a car wash. That's not what I do. I lay on the foam roller, and also I have this little kind of lacrosse ball with different points in it. I'll leave a link in the description as well. I lay on the foam roller until I'm basically asleep. The next thing that I found that really works to calm me down is a massage gun. I treat this kind of the same way that I treat the foam roller. I go very slow with the massage gun, and I focus on the points in between muscles. 2 points that I especially love are actually the cheekbone right here. Again, don't go too hard because it will literally bounce off your cheekbone, but right underneath that cheekbone, and then actually right behind your head right here where kind of the brainstem connects. That really calms me down. You might need to close your door if you have a cat, like I do, because mine is absolutely obsessed with the massage gun. The one thing that I will say here is look for one with a warranty. This one actually came with a lifetime warranty. I had to replace it already. What happens is if you leave the battery on, or if you leave something on, it will run out of battery kind of immediately, and then you'll never be able to turn it back on again. Now, stretching, foam rolling, and using the massage gun gets me tired, but that means nothing if the room is working against me. So the next thing I optimized for is actually a condition, and it is setting up a cold, dark, and quiet room. The first way I do this, and one of my favorite products on this list, is actually my bed sheets. They are from a company called Sheets and Giggles. These bed sheets are fucking fantastic. They're made sustainably out of eucalyptus lyocell. I don't know what a lyocell is.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Damn it! Who typed a question mark on the teleprompter? For the last time, anything you put on that prompter, Burgundy will read.
But they're super soft, they breathe really well, and they keep me cool. I'm a very warm sleeper. They're pricey, but for the quality, I'd buy them again any day. Now, as far as a dark room, this is very difficult to achieve, especially if you're traveling. You go to a hotel room or you go camping. I don't like full blackout curtains because I like some light coming in when it's time to wake up, and I don't generally wake up at noon. So the next product on my list is the Manta Sleep Mask. This is the Rolls Royce of sleep masks. This version in particular because it allows you to sleep on your side, which I do. I sleep both on my back and on my side. I've tested at least 10 different sleep masks in the last 10 years, and the problem is if you have a flat sleep mask, we go through what's called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. So I want you to take your hands, cover your eyes, and move them very quickly back and forth. And imagine doing that several times throughout the night. When you wake up, you have very sore eyes. So you need that space in between the mask and your eye so that your eyes can go through rapid sleep or rapid eye movement sleep. I've tested lots of them. What the problem with most of them, especially ones that have this space, is they'll end up going flat. The other problem is that you can't really use the sleep mask if you sleep on your side. This one is quality made, it won't go flat, and it keeps light out even when you're sleeping on your side. Now, a quiet room is probably the most difficult condition on this list to achieve, especially if you're like me and you have a dog who barks in her sleep or a fan that makes random noise. So in order to do this, I got a pair of earplugs, and I've tried lots of different earplugs as well. The problem is they're not comfortable to use all night. I would wake up, I have very sensitive ears.
I'm sorry, sir, but my sensors indicate that you are indeed a weenie.
I would wake up and it would just be, my ears would really be sore. So I got this pair of loop earplugs that are very soft. You can use them all night, or I can use them all night without really having an issue of waking up with sore ears. And you might not want to spend $30 on a pair of earplugs, and you can go for the knockoffs. The pair that I currently use is a knockoff. The problem is you might need to try a couple different ones. You need to make sure that the inserts are soft because The other ones that I've tried, the inserts aren't soft, and then we're back to the same problem. Now, as far as getting out of bed, I used to hit the snooze button at least 3 times every morning. I would wake up angry and stressed and have to rush through my morning routine, or I would scroll for a bit while I mustered up the courage to start the day. I also found it impossible to get up early and was not achieving the goals that I had set for myself because I was lacking this morning time. The first thing I changed was actually the alarm clock. I can't stand the sound of a buzzing phone in the morning. I don't like traditional alarms. I don't like waking up with a whole bunch of cortisol. So I got this Hatch alarm clock, which is a sunrise alarm clock. I know lots of people have talked about that. Hatch makes this one. Philips makes another one. But I found that it's a much more natural way to wake up. If the sun or the light doesn't wake you up, you can use different sounds. I have a nice sound of birds to wake me up every morning rather than that crazy buzzing that I used to wake up with. And I put it just far enough that it's inconvenient and I have to get almost fully out of the bed in order to turn it off. After I get out of bed, there are 3 things that I try to do in order to wake up. The first one is get sun, which I do by just going into my bathroom. There's a lot of light in there. The next one is move. And actually the best tool that I've found to introduce movement to this part of my day is the Philips Sonic toothbrush. Yeah, it cleans your teeth well, but really the benefit of this toothbrush is it has a 2-minute timer.
I meet you at Harry's bar in 2 minutes? Baby, I can do anything in 2 minutes. Ooh.
Oh.
In these 2 minutes, in the morning, I will lunge. At night, in the afternoon or at night, I will stretch. I actually let it go for 2 rounds of 2 minutes.
How is that even possible?
So that I can do all of the lunges that I want to do in the morning. These are Bulgarian split squats. I use the edge of the tub, but in the other bathroom, I have a stool. There are folding stools that you can use in order to get your leg up and do these lunges. But really, whatever it is that you want to do for your movement routine at this point in the morning, it'll last 2 minutes. While we are on the topic of cleaning teeth, I always wanted to floss more, but I had a strong resistance to developing this habit. When I dug into why I was having resistance, it's actually really dumb or sounds like a very stupid reason, but the amount of floss that I needed to pull off, I would always get wrong. So I would have either too short or way too long. It felt very wasteful to throw that long piece of floss away, but I'm not going to use it again.
That is just nasty.
So I bought these flossers, which makes it so that I don't have to throw this floss away, and it makes it much easier to measure because it's already pre-measured. It's very easy to floss with, and they're also compostable, which makes me feel less bad about throwing them away when I'm done. That's kind of a nugget here when it comes to the technique of this method. You have to identify what is holding you back. What are the small things that are holding you back from getting to the habit that you want to implement? It might be something as dumb as not knowing how long to measure the floss. Real quick message from Jesse from the future. First of all, if you are enjoying the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe. A comment if you have anything to say. Obviously, I'm still a new channel. I read all the comments and all of that is very helpful for me. Next, obviously, all of these are my goals and my habits and the tools that I use in order to achieve those. And you might be asking, how do I do this for myself? And I looked back at this video and I decided, okay, I need to make a worksheet for that question. So I did, for lack of a better term, I call this the immersion method. If you watched my video on the 1% rule, you'll already know a little bit about this, but the theory is that we can get to the places that we want to get to faster if we immerse ourselves in the habits that we want to develop or the skills that we want to develop in order to get there. So I created a worksheet. It will allow you to track your habits like this, kind of follow the process that I followed in order to come up with all of these tools and all of these questions of what am I doing here and what do I actually want to be doing here in order to get to the habit or the goal that I have as my desired outcome. Again, I'll put the link in the description. It's 100% free. And back to the video. Back to movement. One of my favorite products, if not my favorite product on this list, I've had it for 10 years, is this door-mounted pull-up system, pull-up bar, I guess you would call it. What I love about this is I work from home, and if I'm focused on it, I can easily get 100 pull-ups in a day just because I'll walk in and out of my office right next to this bathroom 10 times. And every time I'll hop on and do 10 pull-ups. I also hang for a long time or a lot throughout the day. And I was having problems because I play volleyball. I was having problems with my shoulder. My shoulder was hurting every time I would hit. After the game, I would have problems. I pulled this out from the storage that I had kept it, and It solved my shoulder problems because I was hanging more often. The third thing that I want to do after waking up is hydrate. Now, I fucking love coffee. I don't trust influencers who tell you to give up coffee.
I'm pretty convinced coffee is a multi-level marketing scheme. They're like, hey, good morning, would you like a cup of coffee? And I'm like, no, thank you, I don't drink coffee. And they're like, oh, so you just wake up?
But coffee is not a good liquid to start the morning with. It doesn't hydrate you well. It won't allow you to recoup the minerals that you lost during sleep. And it adds a whole lot of cortisol into your system and other negative chemicals into your system before you're ready to really process them. So it's much better to start with an electrolytes drink.
And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Pre-made electrolyte drinks are stupid expensive. And once you remove the artificial flavors and sweeteners, here's what's actually in them. For a small pot like I have here, you have 15 grams of potassium chloride, 15 grams of magnesium malate powder, and 100 grams of salt. You're basically paying for salt. So in order to make this yourself, you can grab those ingredients and then grab a lemon squeezer in order to flavor the drink. I also use this giant glass water bottle, which goes everywhere with me. I love it. It can fit in a cup holder, and even though it is that size, so it can go everywhere. The next thing I do with my morning is work out. I don't love the gym, but I like myself even less when I don't work out. But this next item allows me to replace the vast majority of exercises that I do at the gym. It has made me much more mobile and actually stronger than I used to be when I went to the gym every day. I'm talking about cat toys. We have so much to learn about movement from our feline friends. They are extremely fit and they are only awake for 4 hours a day. Most of that time they spend lying down. So their exercise efficiency is off the charts. No, but now that you're paying attention, I am talking, of course, about the gymnastic rings. It takes me 15 minutes to get a better workout than I used to do in 40 at the gym. I followed a program called Fitness FAQ. I will leave a link if I can find it. I did it probably 4 years ago and it completely transformed my body. Lots of people who are new to working out are afraid of the rings, but they can be for beginners and they can be very easy. You just have to change the angle that you're doing the exercise. This is the same concept as how difficult is it to do a push-up when you're pushing up off of the ground versus how difficult it is to do when you're pushing off against the wall. Rings don't really work for lower body and I wouldn't recommend using them for HIIT workouts. So the next item actually takes care of both. It is a pair of kettlebells. I have one heavy one and one light one. The heavy one I use for things like swings and the light one I use for things like Turkish get-ups and overhead presses and overhead lunges and that kind of thing. Last thing that I use are bands. I have them all over my house. I have them in my gym bag, my volleyball bag. I even have one in the car. I found this is one of the best ways to stretch after you work out or before you work out. The last part of my morning routine is breakfast. Now, I used to eat a bagel and egg sandwich every morning for breakfast and want to take a nap at 10 a.m. And then I tried intermittent fasting and wanted to have a stroke by 10 a.m. I tried to find a happy medium and now have a shake, a protein shake every morning. I've had cheap blenders in order to do this. They work okay for the most part if you don't mind chewing a little bit, but they eventually burn out or the pitcher cracks. And a powerful blender can do so many things in the kitchen. Literally anything can become a soup or sauce in this blender. I have had butternut squash sauce. It is the most used item in my kitchen. I have used it over 4,000 times. As far as what's in the shake, lots of protein. I don't use flavored protein because it's mostly sugar. Lots of creatine, some type of fat. This can be peanut butter if you eat peanut butter. I generally don't, so I use avocados. And then a healthy sweetener, which I use honey. As I said before, I love coffee, but great coffee from a cafe is super expensive. So I immersed myself in learning how to make great coffee. It took about 2 to 3 months. And now I like my coffee better than the coffee that I get at most expensive coffee shops. I use the Gaja Classic Pro. It is a good entry level, in quotation marks, machine grade espresso machine. And if you don't want to go all in and get an espresso machine, or you don't like espresso, I would recommend getting a quality grinder. This one is the Baratza. It will immediately elevate your coffee quality because it makes the grains the same size. Now, I like to sit with my cup of coffee and write in my journal. I did another video about journaling. If you haven't seen that, I will link it here. But naturally after coffee, nature calls. And the toilet is one of the places that I am most likely to spend time scrolling and ruin all of the momentum that I just built up in my morning. So I will leave my phone on the counter and bring my notebook into to the bathroom, which is apparently the way that you are supposed to use a toilet.
You're all using my toilet invention the wrong way! When you have to sit and take a Sir Harrington, you're supposed to be facing this way, so you can use the little shelf for your books and your quill and your ink.
Aha! I told you you should own it that way! I told you!
So that is my morning routine, and then I start my day. There are two things that I try to optimize for during the workday because I work from home. The first one is staying focused. Now, I fidget constantly. You might have noticed this in this channel, but it's hard for me to sit through a meeting without multitasking. So I have to do something in order to occupy my hands. Best thing that I have found in order to do this are these finger strengtheners. Now, I use grip strengtheners in the past. This pair comes with a pair of grip strengtheners, and they work, but it never really works out the back side of your hands, and these do. They've also made it much easier to come back after jamming my fingers in volleyball or ice hockey. Next thing I use to stay focused, especially during Zoom meetings, is this balance board. I am not going to get on it because I have a torn ACL and that could end badly, but I think it's really funny to be swaying back and forth on a Zoom meeting while everyone else is either sitting or maybe they've got a walking treadmill underneath. If you get this and you're new to balance boards, I recommend starting on a carpet or a rug. If you start on a hard floor, you will go much faster than you were actually expecting to go. This kind of ties into the next habit, but the next habit that I optimize for is actually getting out of my chair. This is a habit that's actually difficult for me to implement. Having things lying around my office like I do with most other habits just isn't enough for me to do this. So I have to take an extra step in order to get going on this habit. I do this using a giant whiteboard that I have to walk by every day. Now, as I said, it is a giant whiteboard. I have to walk by it all the time. And the way that I do this is I set up a system or things that I want to do. This one is focused on mobility. I'm actually not even following this routine anymore. So these have shoulder, angel, devils, weighted rotation, floor, book twists. I can show actually the video that I was following in order to do all these. And then hips and lower back. I can't do most of these anymore. And so I have yet to change it in order to follow my PT routine. But what I do is I have basically a habit tracker. A lot of people use habit trackers in a journal or in your phone. And the problem with that is you can put a journal easily away. You can't put a giant whiteboard away. So I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I have each one of these. And I kind of gamify it so that I can score myself. On Monday, I did all 7. This was several weeks ago, but you get the point. And then I can go down to and say, okay, well, week 1, I got 15. Week 2, I got 10. So I actually decreased. Week 3, I got 26. So that was a really good week. And I can kind of gamify that habit process and do the things that are difficult or implement the habits that are difficult for me to implement normally. But what are some of the tools that I use in my office in order to do these habits? Again, habit of movement, getting out of my chair. The first one that I found that I actually like the best is a standard stationary bike. The thing about this stationary bike is I can take the handles off and I combine this with a standing desk because I can get the desk high enough that the bike fits underneath and I can work normally while riding my bike. The next most important thing that I use is actually this tib bar. I haven't found this in any gym that I've ever been to, but it's one of the best things that I've found in order to improve or fix jumper's knee. It's much easier to have this just sitting next to my chair in my office rather than trying to put it in my gym bag and bring it to the gym because it's a heavy and bulky item that I just don't want to bring with me. Now, as I said, I work from home, so inevitably I will end up in the kitchen at some point in time during the day. And in the past, when this happened, I would snack on garbage. I have little to no self-control, if that wasn't very obvious already, but if it is there, I will eat it. So the only way, this is not a product, but this is kind of a mindset. The only thing that I can do in order to not eat this garbage is replace it with something else. And the best thing that I have found when I get that sugar craving or when I want to go eat some chips is I will grab some fruit. I cut the fruit up so that it's that much easier to eat and it's one less barrier that I have to go through before making the right decision. I also used to drink a lot of soda. So what I do now, what I started with was kombucha. It's a little bit more sugary. and easier to get off of. Now I just go straight for bubbly water, and that satisfies that soda mix. I also keep a lot of protein bars hanging around and no chips or anything like that that would pull me in the wrong direction. Now, after I eat, I generally take a nap. I can't really focus if I don't. And I used to wake up from a nap and just start scrolling. The way that I fixed this wasn't actually the product, it was a mindset. I had the headphones before, but rather than using the headphones and playing I use binaural beats in order to help me sleep better, rather than playing that right next to me, I'll take the phone, I'll leave it in another room, and I'll either use the phone or the computer to start that YouTube video. And I'll bring a book in with me so that it's much easier for me to make the right decision. Now, in the past, after I finished work, a lot of times I would just end up on the couch watching TV, maybe have a beer, maybe have some pizza, but I would end this bout of watching TVs for hours, just really feeling terrible about what I just did, terrible about myself. I didn't feel ready to go to bed. One of the things I do now in order to substitute that habit is I grab a blanket and a book and go to the park. I will sit with my dog, throw the frisbee with her a little bit, and chill before coming back and watching some TV on the couch. I also found that I don't generally sleep well if I have a big dinner. I tend to eat a very large lunch. And one of the things that I found that helps me to eat the dinner that I want is actually this Ninja Creamy. I love ice cream. And this makes it so that I can make my own ice cream and not have to worry about filling myself up with sugar. I can add whey protein into it and it still doesn't taste terrible. And I can bring it to the park with me and throw the frisbee with my dog and try to keep her out of my ice cream. Then we get into preparing for bed again. So before I go to the stretching routine, I use these sleep glasses. I have astigmatism, so light really bothers me at night. And I've tried those kind of clear blue light blocking glasses. None of them really worked until I found this pair. I really like this pair because it wraps all the way around my eyes and it keeps light from coming in. And then rather than hopping onto the couch and watching TV, I want to have a clean house when I wake up and feel ready to start the day. So I will put a TV show on my iPad. I can open my window and kind of slide the iPad in. However you want to do this or whatever habit you're trying to do. It might not be doing the dishes, but I can do the dishes. Maybe you want to do laundry and you have a TV in another room where you can fold laundry. But rather than just kind of sitting and vegging, I'm preparing myself for the next day. So that is an entire day. And honestly, sometimes I fall out of these patterns and fall into a pile of beer and pizza. And I used to get really upset about this, but I really don't anymore because I have one, recurring proof that I can get back onto a habit. And two, I have proof that I can achieve the things that I obsess about. This whole process is an example of the immersion method. This is the same process that I went through when I got obsessed with Portuguese and wanted to learn the language as quick as possible. I designed my space and my habits so that learning Portuguese was inevitable. And I went from zero to conversational in 3 months. If you want to learn more about that, let me know in the comments. That is a video I'm considering making. And if you have something that you want to immerse yourself in and want to work with me one-on-one directly, I do offer coaching. I will leave a link in the description. Otherwise, that's all for now. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next video.